Bring yourself into a comfortable position to prepare and pull focus to your breath cycle so that we may come to a state of calm composure. Bring the palms of the hands one on top of each other, point of thumbs touching. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Allow your upper arms to rest downward. And close the eyes. Tune in to the rise and fall of your chest. Observe the activity of your belly button, how it moves forwards as you breathe in, and how it pulls backwards as you breathe out. Encompassing a full body experience with every breath, so that you may begin to live in the body as well as the mind, and have the mind and body in great communication with each other. Let's open the eyes, bring the hands forward. Let's lift the buttocks, turn the feet out to the side and bring yourself to sit round with the soles of the feet drawing together. You're going to link the fingers, bring them around the toes, and then rise up through the trunk of the body. Let's move into butterfly, where we simply, gently flicker the knees up and down. Take the time to scan the body, especially the head, the neck and the throat, and release any tension you may be harbouring. And then take the mind down into the hips and allow them to loosen. A simple communication of the message: surrender, let go, loosen. And then allow those knees to gently lower down towards the mat. If you want to take the feet in one hand, say the left hand, you can look at the right leg. You could even get the flesh of the inner right thigh and roll it outwards, which will really help open in the front groins, and it will allow some release in the back of the knee. You could do the same with the flesh of the calf muscle, and then swap to the other side. All the while keeping the breath flowing. Keep ensuring that the trunk of the body is sitting tall. There's this continuum that takes place every time you breathe in, this experience of rising upward, lifting, elevating the self, engaging the muscles in the trunk of the body to assist with this. Over long periods of time of inertness, unawareness, the body has tended to teach itself to be sluggish. But you want to reverse that now and replace it with a continual uplift. And as everyone knows, the more you practice something, the more it becomes you. The better you become at it. and then gently release. Bring the hands outside of the knees and then draw them together. Bring the feet to the mat. Place the hands either side of the hips. Keep the knees glued together as you gently roll them from side to side, helping to mobilise the hips further. And then drawing them back to the centre. Let's now extend the legs outwards. Take them to a point of comfort. You want to ensure that the fronts of the legs, the fullness of the fronts of the legs is pointing up to the ceiling. We're going to take a forward flexion, and sometimes the toes will drop in and the thighs will round forward. We want to keep them drawing up to the ceiling. So again, you can help the skin, the flesh, by just rotating the inner thighs outwards. Ensure that the knees aren't bent and that there's gaps showing. If this is happening, that's indicating that your feet, your legs are possibly too wide apart at this present moment. So you need to close them down. Closing them down, even if they're here, this is much better than practicing with them wider open and having bent knees. You can grab the hands, get the flesh of your buttocks, draw it up into the lower back, because that's going to help tip you further forward on your ischium, the base of the pelvis, the pubis down here. So you can already feel just by doing that with the buttocks that it's tipped you forward a little. You want to ensure that the spine remains as erect as possible as you move forward. There's going to be the very tendency, and it's usually down to the ego wanting to race ahead, there's going to be the tendency to slump. Some think that a forward bend is bending from the upper spine. We have a joint in the spine around this part here, which tends to make us bend from there, but what happens is the ribs crush down into the abdominals and it compresses, which obstructs the flow of breath and oxygen to get into that part of the body during the movement. So that's why you always want to have that continuum of elevation, of lift, of straightness as you fold forward. So let's try it. A nice deep breath in. You can have your hands onto the shins, onto the thighs. Avoid any pressure on the knees, so try not to put the hands on the knees. Or you could simply have the hands in front of you. If you are more advanced, or you have the reach, the stretch, the ability in this present moment, then bring the fingers to the toes. Take a breath in and lift the tummy internally. Draw the pubis up to the navel and the navel to the breastbone. And again, focusing on the breath as it guides you and tells you when you are ready to move forward. If the legs begin to shake at any point, this is your nervous system telling you that you are heading towards overstretching. And you want to avoid that. It will mostly be the ego that will tend to want to take you further forward before you're actually ready. So if you feel any of shaking in the legs, just come back a little bit and practice from a place of comfort. Your body will thank you for that, and in time you will gain greater flexibility and suppleness. You'll be able to watch yourself progress through the days, weeks, months, years. So get to the point that's good for you, and then bring the hands in front. Take a nice deep inhalation, and as you exhale, flex the elbows down. Breathe in, straighten the arms, rise up through the torso, lift the tummy internally. Exhale, bend the elbows. Breathe in, straighten, lift, create space. Exhale, release, surrender, let go. Do this a couple more times. And remember too that it's often said, I just don't have the time to practice. But a simple movement like this can actually be done whilst sitting in front of the TV. And then pulling the tummy in, secure and support the spine, walk the hands back in towards you, rise up through the torso, sit tall, and then bring the hands underneath the knees, breathe in and bring the feet to be hip width apart. We're going to move into the squat position, a position of truth. So we want the heels of our feet to be a hip width apart, possibly wider. If you place them wider, it actually becomes more comfortable. Take your hands behind you and then lift the buttocks, then walk the hands in and bring the arms between the thighs. Now, if at this point you find that the heels of your feet are coming up and you're on your toes, lift your buttocks to the point where the heels of the feet come down. You could even rest your hands on your thighs. In the fullness of this position, have a thought about the feet and recognise if you are dropping in onto your insteps, if your feet are doing this and it's putting pressure on the ankle bones. Think about your inner thighs and roll them outwards. You can even use your upper arms to gently roll them out, taking the knees out a little wider. Get the weight running into the outer edge of your feet. Your toes should be nice and relaxed. Breathe. Now from here, we're going to move into crow position. So bring your hands in front of you and just now come onto the toes and bring the heels of the feet together. So heels of the feet together on your toes. If you can, sit up to create space. Rise up through the torso. You're going to extend the arms forward, stretch, and you're going to place the hands down in front of you. Now the hands are the foundation for this balance. Your total body weight is going to be distributed into the hands. So ensure that you make a nice large surface area with the hands, because then there's more room for the body weight to be balanced in. If your hands are closed down like this, you're more likely to be a little bit shaky. So we want to really reach forward, lower the hands, and then bend the elbows and bring them back in towards the inner thighs. You want to look at your inner thighs gripping to the outside of your upper arms. Place the hands in front of you and just have a little rock backwards and forwards, getting used to the feeling of motioning forwards. Then keeping the hands in place and looking at the wrists, elbows and shoulders being on parallel lines with each other. So it's again those almost like train tracks, and you're keeping nice and aligned to them. And then lift the buttocks and take the head forward. Come back down. Just do this a couple of times so you're getting used to the motion. And then we're going to move into the position whereby lift the buttocks, take the weight of your head forwards and grip those inner thighs to your upper arms, and then release the toes. Now if you find at first that you can get one toe off the mat but not the other, that's fine. Bring the toes back to the floor and then swap to the other side. So you can do, take one foot off, bring it back down, the other foot off, bring it back down. And don't judge yourself if you can't get the balance immediately, just keep practicing. Unclench the teeth, soften the skin on the face, and breathe. In the fullness of the position, remember to keep the breath flowing. And then gently coming down. Let's bring the hands forward, knees together, turn the toes under, buttocks to the heels of the feet. Stretch and extend through the spine, bring the forehead to the mat. Take the arms in the same direction as the toes, and then let go. Release the upper back muscles. Nice deep breaths. And soften. And then bring the hands in front of you. Restack the bones of the spine. Once again, finding yourself in an upright kneeling position, sitting tall. You can come into a cross-legged if you find that more comfortable, or extend the legs in front of you. And then bring the hands together at the heart. Be thankful for your practice. Give yourself a good pat on the back for your practice. Be safe in the knowledge that yoga is good for you.